Hi, everyone. We'll get started in a minute. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the CS Makeover show. We're just going to wait a couple more seconds and then get started. I'm ready. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on our 5th episode of the CS Makeover show. We're excited to have not only our guest today, but also our producer and co-host, Paul Reeves, with us. And so before I introduce them, I'd love to just share a little bit about what is the CS Makeover show and what do we mean by simplifying. We mean making customer success easier, faster, simpler by sharing best practices, not only on this show, but on the Simplifying CS website that we've created, where every month we're posting actionable tools and blogs that you can download and start applying to your own business immediately. So I also want to thank our sponsor, Gainsight, and you, our ever-growing community of customer success experts and practitioners who continue to contribute to simplifying customer success. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce our guest today, Colin Dawson, who has a very interesting title, Senior Director of Value Realization for Emilia at BMC. So welcome, Colin. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about who you are and your role.
Sure. Thanks very much, Emilia, and delighted to be here today and join you in this conversation. So I lead a team of customer success managers for BMC across EMEA. BMC, for those who are not aware of the company, we're an US-based enterprise software company, and we offer both on-premise and cloud-based software and services. We've over 10,000 customers across the globe. The mission for my team essentially is to assist our customers with adopting our products. And in doing so, we expect to drive value realization for them. And in turn, we know this leads to both better renewals, expansion, and advocacy. So that's essentially what we're about. I started work as a CSM myself with BMC in 2012. I was actually in the final year of an MBA program, an executive MBA program, and a classmate who was working for BMC at the time reached out and asked me would I join him in building out the team. So yeah, that's how it all started, and I think we've come a long way in those 9 years, and I've really seen the evolution of the role and the processes and the tech that we're using over that time.
Colin, first of all, I want to thank you also because you are calling in from Ireland, and I know you have 3 children, and it's probably the witching hour that I call evening time with my own children. So I appreciate you dialing in for this. And, I find it fascinating that not only have you been there for 9 years, but you've also been using technology and then transforming it as your customer needs change and your company products and service offerings change. So I'd really love to learn a little bit more before we talk about your implementation of a Customer 360. What was it like when you arrived? Because I think a lot of what you experienced at the beginning, our audience is probably experiencing as well as they think about implementing a customer 360.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in the very beginning, um, the team was set up to look after our SaaS customers initially, and BMC had just a short time before that launched their SaaS products and SaaS offerings. So initially, we had only a handful of customers to work through. But as our customer base increased and as we built out our team, it soon became quite unmanageable, really, because we found ourselves without a central repository or central system of record. Um, Record keeping itself was left really to the CSM's own preference, with files and documents being stored locally on laptops and devices, and we're using Word and Excel, other note-taking solutions, even taking notes on pen and paper at that point, when it came to customer meetings and intelligence like that. Reporting was highly manual too. It was primarily Excel based, and one of the most kind of frustrating aspects of how we were working back then was, even when we had our customer intel in front of us on Excel sheets, to gather information, we had to pivot from one system to another. So we were constantly, logging out of one system and into another. And it became too much, really. As I said, when the team grew and our customers grew, we really needed to get a solution that could make this all much more efficient and effective for us.
So before I ask about your selection and go deeper on what happened with the platform, curious from the audience, how many of you are thinking about putting in place a customer 360? So we'll be launching a poll for everyone, and we'd love to get your insights. All right, we'll give you a couple more seconds, and let's see the results.
The results will take a second.
Okay, thanks, Paul. So, well, while we're waiting, maybe we can hear from you, Colin. What was the tipping point that you decided to put in a platform?
Yeah, so maybe if I just describe a little bit of the key milestones that we went through on the journey, and if it's apparent, what happened at what point then. But as I said, I joined in 2012, and we were developing our processes back then alongside building out the team. So over the course of the first couple of years, we were focused on the new customers that were migrating to our SaaS platforms, building out our processes and building out the team. And then it came to about 2015. We reached a point where it was essentially chaotic. We had too many customers, too many people. We had lots of great processes, lots of really great people, but it was difficult from a leadership perspective to keep track of everything and to report on everything and drive continuous improvement from there. So it was really around 2015, we decided, look, it's time to make the jump. So at that time, we went out to market, looked at the solutions that were out there, and landed on Gainsight. So that was 2015, and since then we've gone a little bit further, but I think I'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Yes, so you selected Gainsight, and I have been in that situation where you're just firefighting. You have no data. If you do, it's taking hours to put together, hacking different spreadsheets together, guessing on some metrics, and it is very chaotic, like you said. And then the Gainsight of 2015, I recall, I also have seen it recently. It's a very different product. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, you implemented it in 2015 and you built this customer 360. What happened and how has it evolved over time?
Yeah, sure. So in 2015, we went for quite in hindsight, quite a limited implementation. We were using it within the SaaS Customer Success Manager group at BMC. Now, that group had started essentially with two people, with myself and my classmate back in 2012. And by 2015, we had around about 25 people across the globe in the group. So when we implemented Gainsight at that point, we just used it within the group of SaaS Customer Success Managers. We also went for a standalone version. What I meant by that is it was not integrated very well with other systems of record. So although we had a really good system at that point in time, we still had to log out of Gainsight and log into other systems and back and forth to get other parts of or bits of data. So the next kind of key milestone really was last year. BMC looked at their overall customer success strategy and decided to form a new organization within BMC called Customer Value Realization. And at that point, having experienced Gainsight and knowing about the potential within the product, I was lobbying for Gainsight to be the actual tool we chose. We did decide then to go forth with Gainsight, so I was quite happy with that. And essentially what we've done over the last 7 or 8 months is we've upgraded the version of Gainsight, and we've integrated with lots of other systems that we were previously pivoting in and out of to get data. We've also actually reviewed our playbooks, and we're rolling the tool out to folk that are well beyond the customer success group too. So we're now in a position that we're able to share really good quality data with other parts of the business. And I just come off a call actually a couple of hours ago where we were talking to our support colleagues about their access to Gainsight, which is going to happen over the course of the next few weeks too. But it's now a system for us which is absolutely pivotal, not only to my team's work, but to the whole business, because we have fantastic quality data within the tool that can be used to drive decisions when it comes to product, or for our sales team when they're going out to meet with customers. They can get all the customer intel that they need from Gainsight and things like that. So it's really it's transformed not only what we do, but it's starting to transform the business for BMC too. We've also a hell of a lot more people from our team using it. The organization we had back in 2015 was roughly about 25 people. Now, as part of the Customer Value Realization organization, we've just shy of 100 people within the team. So, we're evolving. Our strategy for customer success at BMC is evolving, and Gainsight is really a key tool that's allowing us to do that.
Hey, the audience is kind of wondering. Someone said playbooks across departments are excellent. So kudos. But the question was, do you have examples of what kinds of playbooks you've implemented and which departments you launched them with?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, we started off initially with playbooks within the team. And now, recently we started to expand the use of the playbooks and review how we're using playbooks to incorporate other departments too. So in fact, I have a document, Paul, to share actually, which touches on the what I consider my top 5 playbooks, actually, the playbooks that have made the biggest difference to our business. So I've prepared a document that we can share with the audience in relation to that. I've also given a little bit of my personal insight into playbooks, how to implement them and get the most from them too. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to
those.
Yes, we will look forward to them, and we will publish them on the Simplifying CS website. And I want to go back to the audience who did say most of them are window shopping. And I think, given that the audience is window shopping, how do they sell it to their organization, especially when you came in, you implemented a product, then you went back to the market to make sure you had best in class, you selected Gainsight again, re-implemented it with a new focus, given now you want more seamless integration, you have this new value realization team. Maybe you can give the audience some tips on how do you sell that to your organization, and then how do you make sure that everyone's getting the information that they actually need?
Cool. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think for me, in terms of selling it to the organization, the way we went about it at BMC was really, this tool has the potential to change the business. As I said, it's not just about the customer success team, but this is about driving the overall business. And we, with the first implementation of Gainsight, although I described it as quite limited, we already had been getting kudos from other parts of the business for the customer data that we had within the tool back in 2015, 2016. So other areas of the business were interested in seeing that data. They were impressed by the quality of data. And I think having quality data is absolutely essential to a successful journey when it comes to implementing a tool like this. You need to make sure that the data that you capture is accurate and it's timely. And that's certainly a bit of advice I'd give. Also, in terms of the people aspect of it, because most tools these days, despite all the fantastic automation and intelligence that's out there, most tools still rely on good engagement from the people that use it. And from that perspective, I think it's key to make sure that people understand that this tool can not only improve the business, but improve their own personal effectiveness and efficiency. And you got to make it easy on the people too. So make sure that everyone that's involved and engaged with the tool is properly trained, and also in terms of how they're using it. I think when you're embarking on a journey like this, it's a fantastic opportunity to look at your processes, how you go to market, how you engage with customers, and attempt to simplify things. There's an awful lot of complexity out there that's really unnecessary, in my experience at least. And that was another way that we found, another way we could sell, I suppose, the tool and what we were trying to do to the business. The ability to simplify, complex processes, not only for people within BMC, but of course for customers too.
Right. And what I noticed, not only are you talking about this, but when I was researching BMC and preparing for the show, I went to your website, and right on the front page, it talks about the value of customer success across the organization. And it's really clear. And obviously, it makes a lot more sense that companies with insights of the customer will value it so much more across all of the different departments. So I think that's really powerful. I know we have about 10 minutes left. I'd love to take any other questions from the audience. And while we're getting those, would love to know if since a lot of people are window shopping platforms right now for customer success, maybe what are your top 3 key actions people should be taking as they're assessing technology?
That's a really good question, Emilia. And just to be sure, sorry, are you asking me this question, or is that a question out to the audience?
That's to you, because I think the audience would be curious if they are window shopping and looking at different technologies. It's overwhelming. Like, where do I start? What use cases should I be using? I know when Paul and I have worked with companies in technology assessments, often the company doesn't know, well, okay, what are our use cases? What are our integrations that we want? Those kind of things. Where do we even start? So curious what your top tips would be.
That's a really good point. I mean, where do you start? And I guess that from my perspective too, you got to start with understanding your own business and your own requirements. Yeah. And I think you've spoken about that and you refer to that when you talk about your use cases. I mean, there's no easy way around that. You've got to understand your own use cases and work from there. The other thing too is, I mean, as important really is who you partner with, you know. And personally, I found that Gainsight and the team at Gainsight were just a match made in heaven for us at BMC. And you know, I think that's absolutely critical to the implementation, and trying to make sure that before you decide, of course, that whoever you pick is going to be as interested in your success as you are. And that's certainly something we found with Gainsight. So, you know, look at your own business, your own use cases, what you're trying to achieve, and be very, very clear on that. But also, secondly, you know, and as I said, as importantly, really look at the partner that you're going to choose and make sure that they're a good fit and they're, you know, interested in making you successful.
So someone was asking, what is a reasonable budget to request for a customer 360 tool for a 15-person CS org? Is it $20,000? Is that enough? What do you think?
Yeah, that's that's a good question. I think, look, from my perspective, there are a lot of tools out there, and you know, I'm sure there's one to fit every budget. I don't have the exact figures to hand in terms of how much it cost us with Gainsight, but I'm sure it's certainly worth having a conversation with you know, the vendors that are out there in relation to budget. But unfortunately, yeah, I don't have the exact details to hand in terms of what we spent on the implementation.
If I can jump in, only because Paul and I do a lot of assessments, I will say that I would say that's a starting point, because you're really going to centralize all of your customer data in one place. It's going to be accessible for not just the 15 CSMs, but the rest of the organization for making business decisions. And so if you think about how much that is a month and how much time it's saving your CSMs, that should go into your business case as well. More importantly than what the budget is, do you have an operations person who will actually be able to manage the implementation and then manage the platform as your company and your customers change? And I believe that that's the number one reason customer success platforms fail. The customer success platform isn't failing. It's the company failed the platform. They chose not to invest operationally in that platform to ensure that it's leveraged successfully. What Colin said earlier, make sure you do proper training and then make sure you have the right use cases in place. So that's really, really important. Hopefully that helps you in going to bat with your business case for a customer success platform.
You know, somebody else was asking, Stella, who's been interactive in the show. Thank you, Stella. He said, how do you maintain the customer as your priority and not get caught up in all the tech? Is there a way to keep the balance between the customer relationship and your calls to action?
Yeah, that's a good, really, really good question too. And I think for me, it goes back to a couple of things. One is the culture of your company too. Emilia, you mentioned, of course, the reference to customer centricity on the BMC website, and I can say hand on heart that BMC is a customer centric company. So everything we do has, you know, the customer's interests at heart, you know, from the get go. So that's one thing, one critically important thing from my perspective on that. The other point I'd make is back to the point I made on you know, complexity versus simplicity. There should really be no need to overcomplicate your processes or the tech, and you know, the tool should help you simplify and not get wrapped up in the tool. Any good tool will make you more efficient and effective, not the opposite. So there shouldn't be, if it's implemented properly and you get the right advice from the right people and think about it, you should be able to simplify and make the tech an enabler rather than something that's going to hold you back.
That's great advice. And I wholeheartedly agree. You absolutely need someone who can operationalize the customer success manager's most tedious tasks so they can focus on what really matters, and that's building customer relationships.
I think
Paul, any other?
that. I'm sorry.
Paul, sorry.
Just the fact that when somebody can actually handle it responsibly, consistently, it becomes a non-issue, right? When you're asking people to do multiple roles and do as a part-time role, it becomes a thing, right? And the tech becomes a problem. The last question we actually was, someone wants to know more about Gainsight, and they're asking what your favorite feature within Gainsight is.
Well, I'm a playbook guy, Paul. I just think the call to action and playbook functionality is fantastic, and I mean it serves a lot of purposes from my perspective. Firstly, it helps you control the quality of how you're delivering. So if you're using playbooks and calls to action, whether it's best practice or not, you're consistent. So you're able to improve on that if you're all doing the same thing. And I mean that's really important for me. And obviously, playbooks also help guide people along the set of actions that they need to take given the circumstance in question. And this is critically important, of course, for new hires for your team so that they can get going straight away, and the playbooks allow them, they give them guidance and enablement that they need to carry out the job. But at the same time, the playbooks also allow me as a leader to keep an eye on the progress that's been made against a particular plan of action. When we're trying to mitigate a risk or work on an opportunity for a customer. So the whole concept of calls to action and playbooks and the ability to view everything in the cockpit and through the dashboards and reports that you can get from Gainsight, all that together, that's what I like most about the tool. It gives me that oversight and insight into what's going on.
Colin, thank you so much for giving us all these insights. We really appreciate your time. Before we let our audience go, I wanted to announce our next guest on the show. His name is Himanshu Koshi, and he is the Senior Director of Professional Services at Coursera. The company many of you have probably used. They have 77 million learners and 200 plus universities and companies, along with over 2,000 organizations. So we're really excited to hear about his journey in customer success and how he's simplifying it for his global team. So we hope to catch you in a month. And Colin, thanks again for all these deep insights you shared with our guests. Bye,
Thanks
everyone. See you in a month.
Bye-bye.